What a weekend for your Detroit Pistons, riding a 3-game winning streak, beating the Charlotte Hornets and the Minnesota Timberwolves over the weekend, and coming off a 40 bomb from Cade Cunningham. We'll discuss how great this weekend was and how this looks moving forward for the Detroit Pistons in today's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Let's go.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I'm your host, Ku Cahill. You can find me over on Twitter at Ku Cahill. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review. Whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on, that's another great way to support the podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel. New customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Again, that is, you can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed, win or lose. Visit FanDuel.com to get started today. Later on in the podcast, I want to talk about a change to the starting lineup that was made that should stay moving forward. And then also, a lot of talk about the play-in. Should Pistons fans start talking about the playoffs at some point soon? We'll talk about that as well. There's two things I want to say real quickly. Two things. One, please hit that subscribe button to the YouTube channel. We're on our way to 10,000 subs. Trying to get there by the end of the year. Please hit that subscribe button. I really would appreciate it. The other thing is this. I'm going to be really quick with this. There's a lot of talk about the whole Jared Goff chance at Piston games. At Red Wings games. I'm going to give you guys my feelings on it quickly, and then we're going to move on. Jared Goff, great. Lions, great season. When you are at a Pistons game, you should be rooting for the Detroit Pistons. You should be chanting, let's go Pistons, Detroit basketball, Cade Cunningham. Especially when a dude is dropping 40 points at home, going bar for bar with Anthony Edwards. You should not be chanting a guy who's not even in the building. Cade's going bar for bar with Anthony Edwards, and you can't even give the Pistons the proper support by saying, let's go Pistons, or Cade Cunningham, or All-Star, or anything. You gotta chant some other dude's name. It's corny. It's corny. The players don't like it. I don't understand why this is happening. And then also you got people chanting Jared Goff when guys are injured, when guys are bleeding from the head like THJ, or when you got Jay and Ivy getting hurt, we got Jared Goff chant. Like, come on, bro. Stop. That's my quick thoughts on that. Anyways, great win for the Detroit Pistons against the Minnesota Timberwolves. We just talked about it. The Pistons this weekend had a back-to-back against the Charlotte Hornets, Minnesota Timberwolves. They win both games. They are on a 3-game winning streak. Remember just a few weeks ago when it was the first time they went on a 3-game winning streak in like over 367 days or something, whatever it was? Now they've done it twice. They now, again, find themselves 1 game away from going 500. They had a chance like this a few weeks ago against the Chicago Bulls. They have another chance at it, Monday night against the Portland Trail Blazers at home. Another chance at it. They win that game, then they have a chance to go above 500 against the Brooklyn Nets on Wednesday. A real good opportunity for the Pistons coming up. They played really well, I would say, in the Minnesota game. The Charlotte game was really ugly. They got the win. But it was a very ugly game. Tobias Harris, want to shout him out. Tobias really came through for the Detroit Pistons against Charlotte. Played what I think was his best game of the year. Not because it was a season high points or anything. He hit timely buckets and was delivering as a second scoring option. Without Jay and Ivy, with Cade Cunningham struggling, Malik Beasley struggling, Tobias Harris came through and hit big time shots in the fourth quarter, helped them beat the Hornets. So ugly game, but Tobias delivered. That Minnesota game was maybe the most fun I've watched, or the most fun I've had watching an NBA game, like since the finals or like the playoffs last year. It was this game. When I tell you Cade and Ant Edwards were going like, what's I forget the guy's name in the Rocky movies. What's the Apollo? It was like that scene in Rocky when Rocky and Apollo both swing at each other and they both hit each other in the face at the same time. Like that was what was going on in this game. Cade and Anthony Edwards went at each other back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And Edwards set Little Caesars Arena scoring record, most points, 53 points in this game. 16 of 31 shooting, only had 2 assists, but he was going crazy. Hit 10 threes, going insane. Then you got Cade on the other hand, 40 points, 9 assists, 15 of 29 from the field, 4 of 8 from deep, plus 24 on a win. And a pretty convincing win, too. The Timberwolves were able to cut it to like a 12 at some point, but the Pistons really controlled the game for most of this game. And anytime Anthony Edwards hit back-to-back threes and tried to cut it to 9 or, try to cut it underneath 10, Pistons came right back down, Cade answered them. Then Ant comes down, then Cade answers them. I mean, this game right here is exactly why I think a lot of people have wanted to see from Cade, like some of the people last year. They were like, if you were really him, you'd go out there, drop 40, and get the win yourself. Make sure it happens and break the losing streak. This is a game that I talked about a few days ago when I said now that Jaden Ivey is down, I'd like to see Cade get much more aggressive searching for his shots. He's averaging around 19, 20 shots a game now. I think that should go up. I think he should average around 27 a game. That's why I said a few days ago. And in the Charlotte game, he struggled in that game. But the following night, after a bad game, he answered the call big time with one of his better games of his career. I think this is easily his best game of the year, but one of the best games of his whole career within this game. Also, something that was a big talking point at the beginning of the year with Cade Cunningham was his turnovers. The turnovers are, just like last year, they're going lower and lower and lower and lower. He's cutting them down. If I get the numbers right in front of me real quick. The first 7 games of the year, actually, you know what? We'll just go we'll go the first 13 games of the year. Within the first 13 games of the year, he had 7 turnovers one game, 9 turnovers a game, then 5, then 7 again, then 7 again, then 6, then 7 again. Terrible. Was turning the ball over way, way, way too much. In Basketball Reference, of course, doesn't want to load. It never wants to load for me when I'm trying to pull up per game stats. But over the last 10-ish games for Cade Cunningham, you're hovering around right where I told you guys he should be hovering around 3 to 4 turnovers. You can deal with that when you have that type of usage if you're Cade Cunningham. What you can't deal with is 7, 8 turnovers. Like that right there is way too much. And as the seasons went on, he started to cut it down a little bit. Here, I'm going to try to refresh. Basketball Reference real quick. Basketball Reference never wants to work when I'm using the podcast. Well, I'm recording the podcast, I should say. Anytime I'm recording it, I want to get per game stats. All of a sudden, it wants to crash on me. Very annoying. Okay, first 10 games of the year, he was averaging 4.8 turnovers a game. Okay, ever since then, he is averaging 4.1 turnovers, so that's down. And then if you go specifically over the last 10-ish games, go to the last 10 games, it's down to 3.5. So it's getting better as the season's going on. You're not having as many. The last time he had more than 5 turnovers was December 4th. 6 turnovers. Last time he had 7 turnovers was in November. And remember, in November, he had it 3 times. So he's cutting down the turnovers. Cade, fantastic game. And especially, there was a lot of people watching this game outside of Detroit because of how good of a game this was. Even though the Pistons were in control, having 2 stars like this, Cade and Ant, go at each other, it was truly amazing to watch. And it's one of those games that really cement your status as an all-star. These type of games, I mean, he was on SportsCenter, he was on NBA.com, ESPN was talking, this game was all over the place. This game was being talked about everywhere because it really was such a great show. And obviously, it's not just has to do with Cade. Ant had to do his part too. Ant put on an absolute show. But you got 2 stars from both teams going at each other, putting on a show for NBA fans, not just Pistons fans, for NBA fans. And it was such a treat to watch. It was an absolutely fantastic game. Fantastic game. And it was even better than the Detroit Pistons won. So, love to see that from Cade. Love to see him respond from a bad game. And again, love to see him be more aggressive looking for his shot. They need him to be more aggressive looking for a shot. They need him to play like this more, especially without Ivy. He has to carry some of that offensive load. Honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of would like him to have some of this aggression even with Ivy in the lineup. He doesn't have to be this aggressive, I guess, to get 30 shots or anything. But maybe even more aggressive than he was before, with Ivy. I'd like to see him I think he could easily average 25 a game if he was a little more aggressive. But either way, first game or this game without Jaden Ivey did exactly what you needed from him. But this was a tremendous win for the Pistons, man. Like I said, they're on their 3-game winning streak. A team like Minnesota has close to the exact same record as the Detroit Pistons. I believe Minnesota is 17-17 now. Yes, and the Pistons are 17-18. If you told anyone before the year that Minnesota and Detroit would have the same record or near the same record January 5th, 2025, I don't think many people would believe you. The Pistons are playing great, or not, let me not say great. That would be maybe overestimating it a little bit, but they're playing really good basketball. Making improvements, much better than last year, and they're giving this team they're giving this fan base and city, I'll say it again, they're giving this fan base and city something to root for. You don't need to chant someone else's name from another sports team at their games. The Pistons are giving you a reason to root for them. Support them. Chant their names. Chant, let's go Pistons. Give them support. They're earning it. When they were super bad and losing, I get all that. I get that. But they are good right now. They are in the playoffs right now. They're playing good basketball. You have an all-star who just dropped 40 points against Anthony Edwards. Root for them. Go Pistons. Like anything. Give them some respect. Like, come on. That's the end of that. Great game. Great win. Let me know in the comment section down below, how impressed were you by Cade Cunningham within this game, and how impressed are you by the Pistons going on this 3-game winning streak and finding themselves 1 game away again from 500? Let me know, comment section down below, or over on Twitter at KukaHill. When we come back, this game we saw a change to the starting lineup. We saw Ausar Thompson get inserted into the starting lineup, and you instantly saw why Ausar should not leave the starting lineup for the rest of the season. Basketball season is heating up, and there's no better way to get real money action while watching your favorite NBA stars than with Prize Picks. Whether you're a diehard fan or just some friendly competition, Prize Picks makes it fun and easy to turn your basketball knowledge into cash. Here's how it works. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up 100 or even 1,000 times your cash. Think LeBron's going to drop 30 points, or maybe Luka's going to get more than 8 assists? Prize Picks lets you make your predictions and put your money where your mouth is in just 60 seconds. I've been using Prize Picks for a few years now. Super fun to use, easy to use. And one of my favorite things about Prize Picks is that they have a flex play option. So it means even when you don't, let's say you have 3 picks, 4 picks, and one of them doesn't hit, you can still win. You can still double your money. You won't get as much as if all of them hit, but you can still get away with a win even if one of your picks doesn't hit. It's my favorite thing about Prize Picks. Now's the perfect time to join. Download that app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly when you place your first $5 lineup. That's right, no need to win to get the bonus. It's guaranteed instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Now, you guys know all year, I've been begging. I've been probably the loudest person that covers the team in regards to playing Ausar Thompson more minutes. Start Ausar Thompson. Utilize him. I've probably been the loudest, actually not probably, I know I've been the loudest person about this that covers the team. And, they've been, obviously I understand he was working his way back from that medical condition. His minutes were really restricted earlier on, and it seems like he's just getting to have the minutes restriction completely gone, which I understand played a big part in it. But against Charlotte, they did not start Ausar. They started Wendell Moore Jr., and that went terribly, as I don't think many people would have thought that would go well. That went terribly. Pistons didn't play well at all. Now, was it simply because Wendell Moore Jr. played minutes? No, I'm not blaming everything on him. That's not what I'm doing. But the starting lineup did not work. He didn't play well. He didn't fit with the lineup. The lineup was bad. That all happened, though. So in this game against Minnesota, they started Ausar Thompson. And he played probably his best game of the year. 10 points, 10 rebounds, 6 steals. He had 5 steals in the first 14 minutes of his action, not the game, but the first 14 minutes he played on the floor, he had 5 steals already. He was single-handedly, if you watch this game, you can see this. If you missed it, I'm telling you guys, he was single-handedly destroying Minnesota's offense himself. He was wrecking their half-court offense all over the place. they were constantly trying to get him off of Anthony Edwards. Now, obviously, Anthony Edwards ended up going off, but in the second half, the Pistons did guard him a lot of the time with THJ for some reason, which I don't understand that one. And then also, Minnesota was, like I said, they were running through a lot of screening action, trying to get Ausar off of Anthony Edwards to where he could go at THJ, where he could go at Malik Beasley, where he could go at, even at times, he went at Marcus Sasser, which was obviously a bad matchup for the Detroit Pistons. And he did get Ausar at times, too, but Ausar got him a lot of the times, too. He was making the Timberwolves offense a living hell for them. And then on offense, all 5 dunks. All 5 of his shots were dunks. You got him cutting. You got him going in transition, running the break. You obviously got the highlight. Number 1 SportsCenter's top 10, by the way. Cade throwing it off the backboard to Ausar, him just gliding through the air and yamming it down like it's easy. I'm telling you guys, look, the Thompson twins, they might be like, I don't think this is like exaggerating at all. They might be top 5 athletes to ever touch an NBA court. I'm not joking. How, like, the things he does, the things Ausar can do as an athlete, it's not, Cade talked about this after the game, and he was like, he's definitely not like us, which was super funny. But Ausar, it's not that he just jumps high. It's not that he just jumps far. It's not just the fact that he's super fast, straight line speed. It's not the fact that he's super fast side to side. Cade said he's insane laterally. It's the fact that he's literally all of those things into one person. He's all of those things into one player. At 6'7", with a long wingspan. Like, this dude, he's an alien. He's it's completely different athlete that I've seen in a long, long time. It's crazy. He just glides through the air. The play that didn't count. They had a play that didn't count in the second quarter. There was 0.1 seconds left in the quarter. And Cade's inbounding underneath the rim. He throws it up to Ausar Thompson, cutting down the middle of the lane. He just easily, casually just jumps over Rudy Gobert. His head's above the rim, and he just yams it down. Like, and the Minnesota Timberwolves bench, if you look at them, they're covering their mouths like, oh my God, what did we, like, it didn't count, but it might be the craziest play I've seen this year. Like, and Ausar does it and just makes it look easy. He's like, the level of athlete that he is just absurd. It's wild. It's absolutely insane. So you take all that into account with his defense. And then also, I really want to break this down, and I'm going to try to find some time to break this down on my channel, at Kook Hill on YouTube. Ausar Thompson makes plays with the ball in his hands, even if he doesn't get the assist. There were so many plays yesterday where you get the ball to Ausar in transition, and he creates early offense for the Detroit Pistons. Whether he gets the assist or whether he forces the defense to collapse and then gets a 2-on-1 on the weak side, he kicks it to the wing, and now the rotating defender gets to choose. Do I want to close out to the wing or do I want to close out to the corner? That's the options they have. And then they create Ausar is creating an open look. Whether if you close out to the wing, they're swinging it to the corner. Now they get a corner 3, and that's all generated from Ausar getting early offense and forcing the defense to collapse. Whether it's him rolling to the basket and making a play in the short roll. Whether it's him just running a pick and roll himself in the half court and driving to the rim and just creating, again, another weak side advantage. He just creates things offensively to happen. He has incredible feel, really good processing speed, and he just makes things happen. Which is why in the game against Charlotte, it was really shocking to me to see him turn the ball over so much, because that's rare to see from him. He was making, I would say he was making risky reads, but some of them were just like unneeded aggressive reads. It's not usually what he does. And in this game, you definitely saw a lot more of what I expect to see from him against the Timberwolves, where he's just making plays everywhere. So the starting lineup was Cade, Ausar, THJ, Tobias, and Jalen Duren. Ausar in this game was a plus 16. Cade was a plus 24. And then the other player was Ron Holland, who was a plus 16. That's your top 3 guys in plus minus in this game. And the eye test matched this. Having Ausar Thompson and a Ron Holland on the floor has helped the Pistons almost every time they're on the floor, simply because they are their best defenders and they help at the point of attack. I've said it all year. The Pistons' weakest point on defense, even more so than their 5 position in the starting lineup, is their point of attack defense. THJ, Malik Beasley, at the time, Jaden Ivey, that is horrible point of attack defense. But when you play Ausar Thompson in the starting lineup and he can go check an Anthony Edwards, or he can go check a Mike Conley, or he can go check whoever's the primary ball handler. Then he comes out, and then you put Ron Holland under the floor. And now Ron Holland's checking Anthony Edwards. He's checking a Mike Conley. He's checking a Dante DiVincenzo. Like, when those things are happening, it makes everything so much harder for the opposing offense. Now you're getting out in transition, and now you're running. Now you're getting the oops. Now you're getting easy buckets for Cade, getting easy buckets for Ausar, getting easy buckets for Ron. Like, that's how you get out and get easy buckets for themselves. They should not change the starting lineup. I know JP said, we'll change it based on, matchups. There's not one matchup that, and by the way, the Pistons doubled the Timberwolves in fast break points in this game. They had 17. The Timberwolves had 9. They forced 17 turnovers in this game for Minnesota. Points off turnovers, the Pistons had 19. So there's no matchup in where the Pistons should just give up on defense. There's no matchup where Wendell Moore Jr. starting is better than Ausar Thompson. There's no lineup, or there's no matchup that matters, or that is more, that will lend its hand more to starting Marcus Sasser than Ausar Thompson. Ausar Thompson should be the starter. They need his defense. They need his transition ability. They need some of his playmaking, and they need his athleticism. So I thought he was going to get a triple-double with steals. I truly did. So fantastic game from Ausar. Fantastic game from the Pistons in this game against the Timberwolves. But I think in this game you saw exactly what Ausar brings to you. You saw exactly why people believe in Ausar and why he thinks he can be really great. Because of stuff like this. It feels like he does almost everything on the floor except shoot threes. I will say this, though, as a critique of Ausar, that he has to stop doing. He gets to the paint when he drives almost every single time. He gets 2 feet right underneath the rim or in the paint, and for some reason he jump stops. And this is a problem that he's had for a while with his footwork, on the way to the rim, going all the way back to OTE. His footwork hasn't been great, but now he's just jump stopping into the lane. And instead of going up when he has the advantage on a guy, he gets to the paint and you have that athleticism to go up and try to draw a foul. Instead of doing that, he jump stopping and just looks for a pass. That he has to be more aggressive going up and forcing a shot there. Draw a foul. You have good enough touch. You have good enough athleticism where you can just score over guys. There was one drive, he got Dante DiVincenzo literally underneath the basket, reaching at him, swiping at his arm. All he has to do is rip up. He's getting an and one. And instead, he's kind of stood there, jump stopped, looked around for a pass, and the Pistons almost ran out of time. Like, that right there can't continue to happen. He has to be more aggressive looking for a shot if he is going to drive the ball, especially when he gets right at the paint. Has to go up with it. You have to. Draw a foul. But outside of that, man, Ausar is great, and he was great in this game, and I don't see why you don't start him. I don't see why he's not the permanent starter moving forward. I've been saying it since the offseason, and in this game you saw exactly why. They need it. They just need what he brings to the team. He's really good, man. He's really good. Before we get to the next segment, though, I do want to shout this out. Another player who's been really good, Ron Holland. Ron Holland has been fantastic in his role. Only playing around 15 to 16 minutes. But when he comes in, he's coming in and scoring the basketball. He's getting out in transition. He's been very active defensively. He gets under the opposing team's skin. He's finishing at the rim at a really good rate. I believe I saw that he's shooting around 67, 68% at the rim. I mean, he's, for what you want out of him, as a rookie, does he have things he has to get better at? Yes, obviously. But from what you expected out of Ron at this age, in his rookie season, I think he's given you everything you could have expected. He's scoring the basketball. He's getting to the rim. He's finishing at the rim, whether it's with tough layups or highlight dunks. He's getting on an opponent's skin. He's forcing turnovers. He's getting active defensively. He's active on the glass. He's active in transit. Like, he's been great. Him and Ausar, when they have shared the floor in the limited amount of times, especially in this game against Minnesota, they're just wrecking havoc defensively. I cannot wait. They ran this lineup a little bit, and then we'll move forward. They ran a lineup of Ron, Ausar, and Stu in this game, and I absolutely love that because you keep the spacing with Stu. Stu's going to bring the center out. You have like Cade and THJ or Beasley out there. That keeps you have that spacing there. You allow them to just wreak havoc defensively, get out in transition, and then you just hope that Cade can make it work enough offensively, and Ausar can do enough as a ball handler and as a cutter and as a playmaker to make it work in the half court. I thought it looked good in limited minutes we got. I can't wait. But those two guys have been great, man. I am shocked by how good Ron is so far this early. I did not expect him to be good this quick, but he's been really good for the Pistons in his role. So let me know in the comment section down below. Do you guys agree that Ausar Thompson should stay in the starting lineup moving forward? And how do you feel about how Ron Holland has played over the last few weeks, really? Let me know. Comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. When we come back, there's been a lot of talk about the play-in for the Detroit Pistons. Are we reaching the point where we might need to start talking about the playoffs? From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel. And tonight, I'm recording this right before the Lions game. Go Lions. At this point, I will prohibit or allow Jared Goff chance tonight. But go Lions. Hopefully they get this win and avoid that 5th seed. But you can look at that kind of stuff over on FanDuel, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same game parlays, and so much more. Visit the website and you can see all kinds of different things. You can just look at the Lions game. I'm telling you guys this right now. Something that's been really working for me, Jahmyr Gibbs, anytime touchdown. This dude has been scoring nonstop, especially since Montgomery went down. If I had to go ahead and bet, I would assume that Jahmyr Gibbs will hit anytime scoring touchdown in this game against the Minnesota Vikings. It's been hitting for me, I feel like, every single week. So visit FanDuel.com to join today and look at things just like that. And you can get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review. Whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on, that's another great way to support the podcast. All right, so the Pistons currently are riding a 3-game winning streak after a good run in December. They've started off the new year on a great note. They are currently 17-18. And they find themselves in the 9th seed. Are we at the point where we might start thinking, is it possible for the Pistons to avoid the play-in altogether and make it to the 6th seed? Is that possible? Well, I'll say this. It would be incredibly hard. It's going to be hard to do. However, I'm starting to think it might not be completely off the table. It's definitely not favored to happen. It's not, I wouldn't guarantee. I wouldn't even put, if I had to put my hard-earned money on it, I would not do that. However, it's become much more of a possibility to the point where I feel like we can talk about it. If you look at the Pistons' net rating, they are currently 19th in the NBA. And it's going up. It's been going up over the last few games. You look at their offensive rating, it's been slowly but surely climbing. They are now 18th in the NBA after starting off like the first 10-ish games around like 25th. So their offense is getting better. I think they have the answer to making their defense better than it has been in the month of December when it was around the 25th ranked defense. They have the answer on their roster. It's that starting lineup. You have Ausar. Play him at the point of attack. It will help your defense. You keep your offense. You just saw the offense play extremely well while having Ausar Thompson out there, and they shut the water off to anybody else not named Anthony Edwards. Play Ausar, play Stu, you have your defensive answers there. That's the other point. The other thing, working in the Pistons' favor, is the fact that the Eastern Conference is under so much turmoil right now that you don't know who's going to make the playoffs. Or actually, let me take that back. I feel like you do know who's going to make the top 10, but you don't know where anyone's going to be seated. And we've talked about this a lot over the last few episodes. But Washington, out of it, tanking. Charlotte, out of it, tanking. Toronto, out of it, tanking. Brooklyn, out of it. They're trading everyone as quickly as possible to tank. So that's 4 teams now. Philly, trying to get their way up. Chicago, trying to tank. Like, trying to get rid of Zach. Trying to get rid of Vooch. Don't expect them to continue to be around the 10th seed. I expect them at some point to stop trying and finally get that deal done so they can start rebuilding around their young youth. which is what's been reported for months now. So Chicago, eventually, done. At that point, that's 5 teams who are gone. Excuse me. Then you got, at the bottom of the East so far, if you take those teams out, you got Philly, Detroit, Indy, Atlanta, Miami, and Milwaukee. Right now, the Pistons have the exact same amount of wins as the 5th seed. They are 1 game out of the 5th seed right now. They have the same wins as the Miami Heat, who they beat. They have the same amount of wins as the Milwaukee Bucks. They're 1 game behind the Atlanta Hawks. They're 1 game behind the Indiana Pacers. All of those teams are all in the same, in the same grouping right now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I would say 6 teams all around the exact same grouping. And Miami is about to trade Jimmy Butler. So and who knows what they're going to be trading Jimmy Butler for? Is it possible they trade Jimmy Butler for a deal that's more focused on the future with future assets and not really caring about this year winning-wise? If that's the case, they're going to fall even farther. And you have to assume that whatever deal they make involving Jimmy Butler, the players they're going to be getting back won't be as good as Jimmy Butler, so you'd assume that they probably would get worse, even if it's better for them long-term. They would probably get worse immediately. So that's another team that's just fallen. Then you got the injuries to Orlando. Jalen Suggs just went down with her injury. They're without Paolo. They're without Franz. Now they're about to be without Suggs. Does Orlando fall down from the 4th seed? The East is in such flux right now, and it seems like the Pistons are hitting their stride at the right time. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games. Last 10 games, they're 7-3. Heading into the trade deadline, they're playing some of their best basketball of the season. Cade's playing some of his best basketball of the year. And his teammates are playing some of the best basketball of their season. Malik Beasley continuing to play well. Isaiah Stewart's playing really well. Ausar just had his best game of the year. Ron Holland's being an impactful guy off the bench. Jalen Duren's even giving more effort defensively consistently. The Pistons are playing, I feel like, their best basketball at the right time right now and are soaring at the right time. So because of what's going on with the East and the uncertainty around so many teams, and the Pistons being that one team I feel like that maybe were considered to be at the bottom of the East, that are actually trying to win, not trying to tank, not trying to purposely lose. They're trying to win. I think that all works in their favor. So am I saying that they're going to finish in the 6th seed? No. I think it's probably not going to happen. It would be incredibly hard, I think, to do so. But I don't think it's like, I feel like most of the year and all offseason, when you talked about the play-in, it was like, okay, if they get to the play-in, they're going to get to the 10th seed. They had to squeeze in there. I'm not so sure that's going to be the case. The Pistons could I could 100% see them being the 8th seed and leapfrog even one of Indiana or Atlanta. Especially with how Cade's playing and around the way the vibes are around the team, how much they love playing for JB Bickerstaff, the veteran leadership that you're seeing. Even Tobias, over the last few games, is really starting to turn a corner, starting to play really well. It seems like the team's just getting better at the right time, while the rest of the East is going through a lot of dysfunction heading into the trade deadline. And again, I wouldn't bet money on it, but it's a lot more possible. The possibility is a lot higher than I think anybody could have guessed before the year. Even a month ago, I don't think anybody would have been sitting here saying, yeah, the Pistons have a chance to actually get into the 6th seed. I don't think anyone would have said that. We're now sitting January 5th, and I think there is, even if it's just like a 10% chance, there is a much higher chance than I think anyone would have thought for them to get to the 6th seed. And I think that right there, again, deserves the fans, or the players and the team deserve to be rooted for that. They're playing their best basketball since 2018, 2019. They deserve to be cheered on and to hear their names, to hear their team cheered. Let's give them some respect. So, I'm having fun watching Pistons basketball. I think the fans are too. How they're playing is incredibly impressive and exciting to see. And their upcoming schedule, I think it's a very good chance by the end of this upcoming week, they're above 500. I think they're going to beat Portland tomorrow, Monday night, and I think they're going to win against Brooklyn on Wednesday. I think they're going to have their first 5-game winning streak in God knows how long I think they're going to be sitting at 19-18. I think they're going to jump a few teams in the Eastern Conference. And I think heading into the game against the Warriors on Thursday at home, they're going to have a chance to continue to push forward their winning streak and try to get to 6 games. This team is, I'll straight up say it, I was wrong about this team. This team is playing much better basketball than I thought they could have this year. And they're giving a lot of hope and excitement to the Pistons fan base. So let me know in the comment section down below. Do you guys think it's possible for the Pistons to get to the 6th seed this year? Let me know. Comment section down below or over on Twitter at KukaHill. That's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Please just start saying, let's go Pistons. Detroit basketball. What happened to that? Detroit what happened to that? That was like iconic. Why is please fans, let's start doing that. And then you can chant Jared Goff's name at Lions games or, let's just, show some respect to all the teams in Detroit, not just one. But until next time, I'll see you guys later. Stay safe out there. Till next time. Peace out.